Hey guys, it's Ryan Alford. Welcome to the latest edition of the Radcast. We are closing out the e-commerce series, the digital commerce. I'm trying to change my vernacular. I'm tired of the word Dave, but into the digital commerce perspective, I'm joined by Dave Gerhardt, who is the CMO of Privy, the #1 sales app on Shopify. And you've likely heard of him. If you haven't, you need to go check him out. But we'll get into that. Dave, great to have you on the show.
I got so excited I punched the mic. Thanks for having me. Appreciate it. Yeah, e-commerce is a word that makes me like I hate. I don't know what it is. I've seen some people, Web Smith, maybe others on Twitter, just say it's just commerce, and I get that also. But if you, in either case, if I told my mom I'm just doing commerce, I don't think she would understand it. So I think it's you can't win either way.
You can't win either way. And, if you're doing SEO and other things, it does kind of like own the world of the space of like search volumes and different things like that.
Yeah, it's funny. Related story that I think your audience might appreciate. When we launched, so we launched a SMS product at Privy last year, and it was right after I started. And I was torn because I always believe in like marketing and naming things really simple. I don't care if you're B2B, B2C, D2C, whatever. It's just people doing business, selling stuff online. Like, let's not make it any more complicated than it is. And we named the product Privy Text because I just said, who says like, hey, Ryan, hey, great having me. Like, why don't you shoot me an SMS later, dude? Like, it's not how people talk. However, to your point, all of the search volume from a SEO perspective and stuff in the Shopify App Store, is about SMS. And so it's just like, that just made me think of that, which is like, we had to tell it both ways, but text is the preferred, way I would say it.
Yes, you can put all your LinkedIn posts and your maybe your headers can be text, but your blog posts and everything else need to have lots of SMS in it.
That's right.
Yes, it is true. I love the be to human, approach and follow a lot of your content, and we preach that as well. So, well, Dave, I know we've jumped right in. For any of our listeners that may not have followed your path and things like that, maybe we just start down. You are one of the leading voices. You never leave my feed on LinkedIn, so you're doing something right.
Well, I would assume that nobody knows about me because I think this is like we live in a bubble inside of a bubble. It is so. My name is Dave, and I am the Chief Marketing Officer at Privy, as you mentioned. Before that, I spent 4.5 years at a company called Drift, which is in the B2B sales and marketing software space, and I've kind of I've been a marketer at marketing companies my whole career by coincidence. Well, now it's obviously intentional because people want to hire you to do that if you've done it for a while. So I worked at a company called Constant Contact, which is at email marketing. And then I worked at HubSpot, and then I worked at Drift, and now I'm at Privy. That's it. Honestly, I got a job in business and marketing because I had no idea what I wanted to do. I graduated in 2009. It was a terrible time to get a job. I never took school seriously. I never wanted to do business or anything. I just wanted to like hang out and maybe, play sports with my friends and stuff. And I got unpaid. I got a paid internship. It was $10 an hour at a PR agency. Just because that was the only company that would hire me. And it was successful because of my writing. I was good at writing emails. I was good at getting reporters to pay attention to stuff. And I was like, holy cow, this is an actual real skill. And I got to see how that can be parlayed into getting more coverage for my clients. And if I got more coverage for my clients, then I would get promoted. And if I got promoted, I would make more money. And if I, want the next raise and be more successful. And it became really fun that hey, holy cow, writing, communication is like the most important skill in business. And I can use this to my advantage to build a business, build a career. And I've spent the last decade really, doing marketing to marketers. And so B2B, B2C doesn't matter. I've gotten to learn B2C over the last year at Privy. But I actually think a lot of the lessons could really be just applied in either case, because at the end of the day, we're all trying to just convince or persuade people to buy our stuff.
Yeah, love it. So you're being humble, but whether it's within our bubble or not, I think you're considered one of the leading voices out there. I know we'll talk a little bit about the DGMG, but talk about, and I see it now talking with you, and I've been watching your content. I think there's qualities about you that are really approachable and really human, which is what you preach. But what do you think have been those qualities that have led to the and maybe it's both intelligence and approachability, but tell, in your words, what has been kind of that lead up to why you feel like you're getting the reputation as being that voice?
There's a couple things. So one of them is I just don't care. Like I really don't care. And what I mean by that is people, I publish so much because I don't care what people, I don't care if it works or if it flops. And so like I think people just, a lot of people are, I don't think anything that I'm saying is that groundbreaking. It's not. I'm just saying it in a world where 99% of people in my profession are not. And so like I'm able to stand out in that world and just say it. And so like me posting like a freaking like picture of a quote from a book, people love that stuff. I didn't write the quote. You don't even know if I read the book, but I'm getting credit for that thing, and I'm just publishing that, right? And I've always kind of understood how that piece of content works, and so I don't think that I'm doing anything. I just don't care, and I think like the problem is most people don't ever build an audience. Forget personal brand for their business because they're so afraid. I'm in stealth mode. I can't tell anybody what I'm doing, and I've just taken the opposite approach, which is I said nobody's paying attention to me. So what do I have to lose if nobody's seeing my stuff anyway? If I have all 6 email subscribers on my list are going to be, whatever, it doesn't matter. And so I just started posting consistently. And the thing that I did was I realized that people love to hear about marketing and they want to learn about marketing. And I'm a marketer. And so about 5, 6, 7 years ago, I just started sharing what I'm doing as I'm doing it. I love talking about marketing. And so like I'll be posting on Twitter and social, Twitter, LinkedIn, wherever about things that I'm doing in marketing. And I saw a reaction to that, a response to that. Wow, there's a community of people here who want this. Okay, now I know what topics they want because I'm posting regularly. And I see that, wow, people love when I talk about copywriting. So guess what I should do? I should talk more about copywriting, right? If you own a restaurant and you always sell out that pepperoni pizza, are you going to sit there and be like, we shouldn't make that? No, you got to make more of it because that's what people want. And so just really like understanding social media and content and being able to publish consistently. I've also launched a bunch of podcasts on the side. And I think podcasts have been giving me a huge advantage in my career because even before Drift and before Privy, I had a podcast that I started as a side project. And this is when I was at a big company, 2,000 people. I couldn't really do anything, right? Like I can't really touch anything or spend any money. But on my own, I had to figure out how to build a website, how to get sponsors, how to promote episodes, how to do audio, how to find freelancers to create create work for you. And like I was able to accelerate my career by also doing something outside of work. And so I'm a huge advocate of just people having side, especially if you're inside of a company. If it's not your own thing, I'm a huge advocate of having a side project or something where you can tinker on something outside of work. And so I've always had one of those. And so in parallel to talking about work, I've talked about what I'm doing, with my side stuff. And that just becomes like this marketing narrative that I'm putting out to the world. And now 3, 4, 5 years later, it's consistency that is going to continue to win.
Before we get like maybe hardcore into our commerce discussion, our
electronic commerce discussion.
Our electronic, sometimes digital, absolutely not a brick or any mortar discussion. But it's interesting hearing you say that, and I'm wondering, working for the companies that you have, do you feel like there was ever look at this guy self-promoting. What company is he trying to get to hire him?
You mean like inside of the company?
Yeah. Like have you just chosen companies that accept that about you and know that that's actually helping them? Or is that ever been an issue or where you felt that like the self-promoter?
I don't know. I think there's 2 separate questions in there. One of them is like, do people at the company, are they okay with it? And I think like at my last company, I really only talked about Drift because I was like a really early employee there, well-funded venture-backed SaaS company, will go public hopefully one day in the future. And so I was the first marketing person there and I grew the team from 0 to 30 people and the company 300. So I was wearing that jersey. That was the only jersey that I'm wearing. Right. And the same is true now, with Privy. It's definitely Privy first, but I have more, I think I have a more substantial like thing on the side that I want to promote because it's real and there's real value there. And so I think they make me, the way that I pitch it is, I think it makes me better. I'm able to learn from thousands of other marketers and many other people at scale. And so, yeah, there might be trade-offs. I get a lot of messages from recruiters, but like that's normal. I just don't think like, I don't know. I want to give you a real answer on this because I think it's an important topic. Like, I guess the short answer is probably.
Yeah.
Probably people think that. And I don't care about it because I know personally how it's made me better. I'm working on multiple things in marketing. I'm talking to multiple people. Here's an example. I have a podcast that's called the B2B Marketing Leaders Podcast. This is separate from commerce, right?
Yeah.
I did an interview. I got to talk to the former CMO of Slack and CMO of Zendesk for 1 hour. And he told me everything, how he structures his teams, how he sets goals. I got to learn all that stuff. And now I get to go back and take it back to Privy and say, hey, we're going to be better as a marketing team because I just stole all these ideas from this guy.
Yeah. So
the trade-off is you don't get that, or hey, no, I don't talk to anybody else outside. I only talk to the 60 people here in this team. Like that's I think what the trade-off is. And I think, I encourage people that work with me to have side projects because I've seen how it makes them better. The only thing that I will say is I do think that I do it only because I have the confidence of results. And so if I was struggling in my job, not hitting goals, consistently have a miserable team, nobody likes to work with me, then I would say, hold on, is this becoming an issue? And so like, you got to put the job results first. With the results, you earn the credibility to go do more stuff. And that's not just side project, that's inside of the company. Hey, we're going to talk about brand later. You want to do more brand? Great. First, you better stuff the pipeline full of sales. Then you can go do the kind of crazy, fun stuff. And I think the same is true in your career.
Yeah, I love that. And I think it's important because I think there's people listening on either side of it. I think we have business owners. We have a lot of business owners that listen to our podcast that need to hear that and understand that their people get better when they grow and learn from others and not be threatened by it. And then the same for people that are on the fence of whether they should do it. I think that's great perspective.
And by the way, you don't have to do like, I think that my ability is a marketer. I think that's what I'm good at. And that's what I should be doing. You don't have to you don't have to promote your stuff like I do. You could tinker on a side project and never tell anybody about it.
Yeah. Well, it's kind of like what we spend a lot of money, time, and effort at our agency on our own social media and content. And because it drives me crazy when I'm, pitching to a client, they've got another agency and I just go take a look at, I'm like, you're selling social media services and they do no social media, yeah. So practice what you preach.
Yeah, you got to. If you walk into a restaurant and that place is nasty and dirty up front, you're going to be like, no, trust me, we're going to give this place a chance. The food is good. It's the same thing. They want to see it. If you go to get a personal trainer and that person's not in better shape than you, are you in the right place?
100%. So I know that I didn't completely realize this, but this is your second stop at Privy.
Yeah, I didn't explain it in the intro because it really it blows up the whole intro. But yeah, it's my second time. I wanted to get into startups, and so I left. I was 25 years old. I left the company that I was at. I met Ben, the founder.
Yeah.
I was there for a year. I was our customer success person, which is maybe why we ran out of money. I was responsible for making sure our customers, stayed happy and paid us. The company ran out of money. I was in a position where I couldn't afford to not work and make money. And so I left to go to HubSpot, where I got connected with Mike Volpe. He is a board member and investor at Privy. And so he kind of knew what was going on. And so he reached out to me from HubSpot back in the day and said, hey, you could come work here. I did that. Mike has been one of my closest mentors and coaches since. And he's now I'm back at Privy and I'm presenting to him at the board meeting. And so it's pretty wild 7 years later to think that I was there. There was a tearful day where like Ben had to let a bunch of people go. It was awful. Yeah. And I was like, that's it. I'm never going to work at this company again. And Ben's amazing. We've stayed in touch. He's a huge reason, obviously, of why I'm here. I think CEO, founder, fit especially as a marketing person is really important. And we stayed in touch. And finally, just the timing was right at the end of last year where I made the jump.
What's all right, let's talk about commerce, digital commerce, e-commerce. It's interesting for me as we evaluate platforms and different things for clients. Privy is, I think, 100% on Shopify. Am I saying that right? Is that? I don't think you're on other platforms.
No, we are.
Are you on Magento and other,
I don't know. I don't know all of them off the top of my head.
But I guess I just always see Shopify, so I just assumed it.
Yeah, we have prioritized that from a messaging standpoint because I would say the majority of our customers are on Shopify, and Google Shopify market cap when you can and see what's happened since 2019. And so we've just prioritized that from a messaging standpoint. Like if you go to our website, you see Shopify, but then if you scroll down, it says, hey, here's all the other platforms that we also support if you're there too.
Do you guys, just from, I guess, as a marketer, and we're a Shopify partner. We push clients to Shopify 95% of the time. When does Shopify not make sense for a company? I mean, like,
I don't know. I'm not sure. I don't know. I'm not an expert on Shopify. I don't know. That's what they pay the e-commerce agencies for.
Yeah, I guess that's why they pay us, because we have a perspective on it, but I like to ask others. What's for anyone out there that doesn't understand or isn't as privy to Privy, talk about what Privy does for e-commerce brands, specifically through Shopify, I guess through that lens maybe, but I guess it's, again, like you said, it's holistic to every platform. But maybe talk a little bit about what it does and how it plays in the overall digital commerce playbook for those companies.
So the simplest way to think about it is Privy helps you get sales, because just because you have a store doesn't mean people are going to come to it and shop. Right. And so there's 3 products that we have at Privy. One of them is a website conversion product. And so somebody visits your store for the first time. You've probably seen them pop-ups on people's stores that says, hey, join our list and get a code for a free gift with your first purchase, or 10% off, or free shipping, whatever. Right. So we help you convert more visitors on your website. We have customers that are converting from anywhere from 1% to 5% with a pop-up like that on their homepage. The second product is email. It's not enough to just convert people into email addresses on your website. You need to actually communicate with them. And despite what a lot of people want to say, email is not dead. Email is still the number one sales channel, period. B2B, B2C, whatever. There is I'm sure you all know this, like, there is no better print money channel than email, right? If you're going to send an email to your list right now, you know that something's going to happen. And so Privy has the 2 most important tools in e-commerce, which is like the ability to grow your list, to convert website visitors and grow your list and actually communicate with them. And then last year we launched this SMS/text product, like we talked about before. And so the way that we think about it now is, look, I think the average, you might know this more than me, but we have some stat that's like the average Shopify merchant is using 6 to 8 apps. And so the pitch with Privy is like, look, do you want to use 6 to 8 apps? Most people are not here to be a marketer anyway. You started this, clothing company because you love apparel and you really wanted to start a brand and you have expertise in that field. You're not a marketer. Let us help you with that. And so install Privy, use Privy for conversion and communication with your customers. And we'll take care of the rest. I think there's a huge opportunity to simplify the marketing stack for e-commerce brands. You guys probably know this as an agency. We've seen some companies, you go into the back end on Shopify and there's 50 apps you've never even heard of that it takes to run that business.
Yes. Yeah, it's a add-on. It's like the tech stack of Coca-Cola, and it's like a $10,000 a month D2C brand. It's like, oh God, what do we do to piece this together?
Yeah, think about it, right? That's an important thing. Like you're making $10,000 in sales to do what? Where there's a couple. It's the 80-20 rule applies to so many things, especially business and especially marketing. There's always going to be a couple things that are going to have the biggest impact for what you can do on your site.
So I know you guys just released the book. We bought a bunch of copies for the team here. So I've followed enough of your stuff, and I'm sure you've put enough into it that that I was like, we're gonna get this and read it. But talk about what people can expect from that book, and let's plug it a little bit. But specifically, I want to know what people that are, maybe the people out there that are their companies are moving into D2C, or solopreneurs that are thinking about D2C, or et cetera. Talk about the book a little bit.
So this is a physical book, like sits on your desk, physical book. We wanted to write that because that's just how real people operate. I think that you're not thinking about marketing first. We wanted to write a book that could literally sit on your desk. And so as you're, making, just doing business, right? You can sit there with the book and say, hold on, I got page, 42 dog-eared and highlighted, and I got this thing. And we wanted to make something really tactical and really practical. One of the cool things about our business is we work with a lot of small merchants. And so we get to, when you work with a lot of small companies, there's 500,000 brands that are using Privy today. And so like across all of them, one or two things comes up all the time. It's like, I don't know what I'm doing. I need help. I wish somebody would just tell me how to do this. This is too complicated. Why can't somebody just tell me the marketing things to do? And we said, hey, what if we just, like, we've been doing this podcast now for almost a year and we've had maybe 40, 50 guests on. What if we just take a bunch of the people that we already know are experts? Can we get them to sit down with us and write this book together? And so, there's a chapter on SEO. There's a chapter on email. There's a chapter on SMS. There's a chapter on copywriting. There's a chapter on advertising, on brand building. And so we really wanted to make a practical book that people could have on their desks, beyond just like, hey, some piece of marketing collateral. And it's been amazing. I think we sold like 1,000 copies in the first week, and the responses like have me feeling like, oh my gosh, we got to double down on this. People want more of this how-to content. Let's give it to them. And so the book was a cool way to deliver that. And there's just something about, it's why D2C is such a thing. It's like, there's just something about giving people something physical. Yep. It's just feels different.
I love it. Well, we do a lot of B2B marketing with large companies. Work with Cisco and some other large brands, and we encourage the physical aspect. We're doing a lot of direct mail that has a physical component to it still, and it's like you said, email's not dead, and neither is direct mail. the mailbox is actually less crowded, believe it or not, because people think that direct mail is dead.
Yeah, of course. I mean, the hard part is now, if everybody's working from home, you just got to make sure you get the right addresses. Direct mail to companies is easy because most businesses have an address listed.
Yeah, exactly. So, what are you seeing? I don't know if you're a crystal ball guy or not, but whether you are or aren't, maybe you put your crystal ball hat on. Is there anything that you're seeing, like, we're getting close to Black Friday, holidays, all that stuff, and maybe a touch there if there's anything you're seeing or recommend that maybe people aren't doing. But as you look forward to 2021, is there stuff that you're seeing that, like, okay, this is in the early stages, but this is going to be, with so many companies coming into D2C, with so much kind of digital commerce happening, maybe put your both short-term holidays, hat on, and then your 2021. I mean, anything, hey, watch out for this.
This is like a board meeting. All right, so what are you going to do to grow the company right now?
Yes.
But then also, what are you going to do to make sure that we still have a company in 6 months? This is great.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly.
So short term, I think we did a quick survey with customers, and we found that like basically 80%, almost 80% of people don't do anything with Black Friday, Cyber Monday until like a couple weeks ago. Yeah. So if you're listening to this, I would go get started. Go get started with a plan. It is going to be the number one shopping day of the year. And I think you're silly to not take advantage of that in some capacity. Even if you're even if you don't, participating in Black Friday, Cyber Monday, I don't think means run a discount. You can, that can totally work. That could work. Sell 50% off, make it a one-day insane deal. But you could also do, gift with purchase, create value add stuff, right? There's lots of opportunities. So I don't want people to think that, I can't participate because of a discount or not. But the reason that it works so well is because all of your potential customers are primed right now. We all know, consumer Dave knows that Black Friday, Cyber Monday, there's going to be good deals on stuff.
Yeah.
I don't even know what I'm buying, but I am buying something that weekend. And so you got to be part of that. You want to be part of that conversation as a brand. The hardest thing in sales and marketing is friction. And there's very low friction on Black Friday, Cyber Monday, because people are in a buying mode, right? You want to take advantage of that. So prepare now. And that can just mean mapping out a campaign. What are you going to do? Do you have the right product? Like, can you package your stuff? I did a great interview with Nick Sharma the other day, and he was just telling me about how they just think creatively of like, all right, what inventory do we have? How could we package it? How could we make a cool bundle with, selling a bunch of different products that would really, increase the average order value, but then also, still give people a really good deal. The other thing is building your list. If you don't have a list, you can still build one in the next month. You could definitely do it, but you have to build a list, because I think everybody falls into this playbook, which is like, I'm just going to run ads and people are going to buy from me. Well, maybe, but how often do you as a consumer buy something the first time you see an ad from a brand? Very, very rarely. And so the opportunity is to get somebody on your list so they can get to know you, get to like you, get to trust you. And then a month from now, when they happen to see a deal from you, then they're going to buy. Like, that's the opportunities to build a relationship. That's the short-term stuff. Longer term, you mentioned a really important thing, which is like, there's way more competition coming into D2C e-commerce right now. What does that mean? I think what it means is you need to build a brand, right? It means that a lot of products are just going to get commoditized. Take a look at some companies. Okay, I'll give you an example. Right now, I haven't changed yet. I'm wearing a Gymshark t-shirt. Great brand. Didn't they just get acquired for some insane price or something like that?
Billions. Yeah.
Billions. Let me tell you something about this shirt. It's nice. It's probably not that different than the shirt you're wearing, honestly. They've built this brand and community around Gymshark, and that now they can do it at scale. And I'm not an e-commerce operator, so I don't know. But my guess is that their moat is a brand. They have people that are part of this community that they now have, advocating for them, word of mouth. And so the opportunities to build a brand, don't become a commodity. Even if you only sell one product, doesn't make it a commodity, but build a brand around it. I did an interview a couple of weeks ago with I forget the name of the company, but they're basically like, they focus on people who grow cannabis, but they don't sell cannabis, but they make like amazing like journals and notebooks and paintings and pictures. And he's like, we don't do discounts. We have this clear statement about who's our brand. We don't want to be big. We just want to be for the right people. And so like, the more you can invest in telling your story, really focusing on who are you serving? Like, what is your brand? You got to define all those things versus just like, if you just try to run the playbook of, I'm just going to set up DG's hoodies and try to, drop ship some hoodies to people and like think that's going to be a wild business. It's probably not going to be. You got to think about brand, and you got to think about how can you tell your story? People want to, again, back to what we just talked about. People want to buy from people they know, like, and trust. How can you use your brand to do that?
I love it. Well, a wise mentor, I know it's out there now, told me the riches are in the niches, and where that's where you build your brand,
Right. 100%.
Yep. So as we close out here, Dave, you talked about this, but I think it's an interesting dynamic, and I'm sure it's one that it comes up probably for your company. And I know it comes up for a lot of companies in building brand. And you just talked about it, but for companies out there that are starting up, whether they're starting up or not, what's the balance between, because as a longtime marketer and agency guy, I cringe a little bit at the word performance marketing, and it kind of drives me fucking crazy, just to be real. It's like, because I think there's a lot of these people that think exactly what you just said. We'll set up some Facebook ads. We'll set up the pay-per-click. We'll just bring in customers. We start selling. That's performance marketing.
Sure.
What's the balance of that with the brand marketing?
This is just to give you a real tactical example. This is not an e-commerce example, but maybe, I hope people are smart enough to be able to apply it. This year at Privy, we've invested heavily in the brand. And so we launched a podcast. We wrote a book. We do a ton of interviews like this, right? We have a blog. We've done all these online masterclasses. We have not really spent a lot of time in very tactical SEO and performance marketing. And yet direct traffic to privy.com has grown 40% this year, right? Where do you think that came from? Because more people are finding out about us. So now the problem is Ryan, it's not either or, it's both. Like you got to do both, because now when we can crank up SEO and we can crank up paid, they're going to be more effective for a couple of different reasons. One, we have a bigger audience. And so there's, retargeting audiences and, there's more word of mouth. People are just going to, more people know Privy. So an ad that was an ad might now become shared organically, right? There's lots of opportunities like that. But it's also going to mean like we've now learned through brand building and content, we can create better paid content, right? How could you know if you just go into a market and you just launch with paid? You can test paid messaging, sure, but you're never going to do that, be able to do that at scale. And so my preference would be start a small Facebook group, start a community, start an email list, even with 10, 20, 30 people, right? Get the learnings from those people, use those to fuel what you're going to do on paid. And so it's beyond just hey, more people are going to know about you if you build a brand, but there's also a ton you can learn from that. And I think ultimately they have to work together. But you're never going to be in a good position if you have to spend 50, 60, 70, 80, 100% of your budget in order to go acquire people to come to your site.
Yep. I think about like one of the first campaigns I worked on was Verizon, and literally, I say that I was in the room because I think I was in the room. It was in 2001. So forgive me as an old guy. It was like the first one. Can you hear me now? Was written on the board in the room. And, that became Verizon's campaign, like that. And I think about the performance marketers, like, would they ever wrap their head around why that ended up selling more cell phones, or why,
Yes.
I don't know, Jared at Subway before he became a pedophile, or,
Right.
Like the Clydesdales going down the street when we worked on a Budweiser campaign. And, here's the
difference. If it's a difference between people seeing your ad and being like, who the hell is this brand? Versus, yeah, I love their podcast. Or, I know them. I went to their event. And which would you rather have, right? I've also, the way that, like, for me with a B2B background, the way that I've always explained this is, have you ever done cold calling? Is it any fun? No. But imagine you could pick up the phone and say, hey, Ryan, it's Dave from Coca-Cola. Like, you don't know why I'm calling, but you've heard of that company before. And so now you at least have a little bit more of an in than you had if you just went straight up cold with an ad.
Exactly. Dave, a lot of great insight. I appreciate your time. Where can people keep up with you? Where can we buy the book? Where can we keep up with everything Privy?
Yeah, go to privy.com /book. And let's do this. If you buy the book, we'll create a promo code specifically for you guys. So what should we do? Radcast?
Yes. Radcast.
Okay, let's do that. So punch in the promo code Radcast. Okay. This is very important. Don't do this while you're driving. Put the promo code Radcast in privy.com /book, and we'll hook you up with some kind of sweet discount. I'll go talk to the team after this, and I'll try to make it a big one. That's the disclaimer to say, if it's not a big one, don't yell at me. It'll be a good one.
Yeah. We'll put an asterisk on the marketing where we promote it.
No, just, hey, Radcast. Check it out. And then, privy.com /book is where you can get that. And then I'm at Dave Gerhardt on Twitter and pretty much everywhere. And I'm a shameless self-promoter, like you mentioned. So I don't need to plug anything else. If you follow me, you will see it. Don't worry.
Yeah. As a fellow shameless self-promoter, I appreciate it. And the DGMG we didn't get to, but I wanted to be conscientious of your time. Any last where we find that info, if you want to find and follow a little more specific on the broader Dave marketing machine?
It's dgmg.co.
Okay.
I didn't buy the .com because I'm too cheap right now. dgmg.co.
Cool. Dave, really appreciate your time, and look forward to keeping following you, and we'll look for that Radcast promo.
Yeah, Radcast, plug it in. See you, Ryan. Thank you.
All right,
appreciate you having me.
Thank you.